This is Kazinform News Agency, and today our guest is Mr. Hugh Hallman, the Honorary Consul of Kazakhstan to the United States. Mr. Hallman, thank you for taking your time to spend on the interview.
It's a pleasure.
Mr. Hallman, you were among the founders of the Kazakhstan American Free University and also taught there. What inspired you to work in the field of education in Kazakhstan?
I had worked in the political environment in the United States for many years and had worked with President Ronald Reagan, who was hoping to bring greater freedom to the people who were in the Soviet Union. And his efforts put so much pressure on the Soviet Union that it ultimately collapsed. That led to the independence of each of the countries that made up the Soviet Union. And Kazakhstan declared its independence on December 16th, 1991. It was important for the United States because Kazakhstan is strategically situated in an area of the world that is challenging. And so the George Herbert Walker Bush administration recognized Kazakhstan's independence on December 25th, 1991. I began my work in education to help connect the universities in the United States and their students with universities in Russia and Ukraine, but also Kazakhstan. I had only one partner in Kazakhstan, and that was East Kazakhstan State University at the time, with the rector Yerzhep Alyerovich Mambetkezyev. And because of that relationship, we developed the education programs in Kazakhstan. All of that was established in order to bring the young people of Kazakhstan and Ukraine and Russia together with young people in the United States, because they would become friends and they would understand one another, they would share their cultures. And in my efforts, the best way to make sure that people don't shoot at one another is to make sure they're friends. And that's what really began the work. The education programs we developed continue to this day, at least in Ukraine and Kazakhstan. And that's how we developed the Kazakh American Free University. Our first program in Kazakhstan was just a summer student exchange program in 1993. But that led Yerzhep Alyerovich to ask us to create a college at his university that would teach economics and finance and law and ethics to his students at that university. And in 5 years, we then created the Kazakh American Free University as an independent university.
What challenges did you face in building international university partnership?
The cultures in academia, in university environments, are different across the world. And so bringing university leaders together takes patience and time. Some people think that government is complicated and bureaucratic, but there's almost nothing more bureaucratic than a university. They are challenging in that way. So bringing universities from different cultures together takes time and patience. It's also, my work has been in the last decade in public universities, trying to help public universities do a better job educating students and getting better results. And that's also true with the work in Kazakhstan, to bring international universities to Kazakhstan that will help Kazakhstan bring the world to its students and ultimately bring students from around the world to Kazakhstan. And that has had a good impact. The two ministers of higher education that I've worked with have helped create that. And the current Minister of Science and Higher Education, Saisat Nurbek, has understood the vision very, very well and executed it very effectively.
Earlier, you met with President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, in New York. What was the main issue on the agenda of your meeting?
Well, I was at two separate meetings with President Tokayev, and I should mention that without President Tokayev's leadership on the education efforts, this never would have happened. But he gave a speech, his State of the Union address, his State of the Nation address, in 2020 that called for the creation of 5 international university partnerships based on our initial efforts to create such a partnership. And because of that work, there are now more than 35 international university partnerships. So President Tokayev's vision for this nation is to create a nation that is built on education and the highest learning for the residents of this country, for the citizens of Kazakhstan. The mission of the 2 meetings were, the first was with the Smithsonian Institution. There is a project that we've launched and I've supported to bring cultural exchange between Kazakhstan's artists and artists in the United States. And it's to, through the Cultural Heritage Project at the Smithsonian, to help Americans better understand Kazakh culture and to help Kazakhstani citizens understand the United States and what really makes it work. The second meeting was a meeting that was really convened by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and it brought more than 70 business leaders from major businesses in the United States to meet with President Tokayev to discuss their work in Kazakhstan and their experience and how to continue to build on that effort. President Tokayev gave a speech in which he articulated 7 very important initiatives that he has started for Kazakhstan, ranging from digitalization and artificial intelligence activity and applying that in business and in education, to mining and mineral and oil wealth, to cashless finance industries and education as well. He made specific mention of 3 of the projects that I've been involved with: the University of Arizona, which has a campus connection in Petropavl at North Kazakhstan University, named for Manish Kozabayev, and the State University in Kostanay, where we have paired it with the University of Minnesota. And then he's also mentioned and talked about the Smithsonian Cultural Exchange. It was a very important meeting, and the highest level businesses were present precisely because of Kazakhstan's unique success coming out of Soviet times. Kazakhstan should be very proud of the fact that its GDP per capita is now higher than any other of the former Soviet countries and highest in Central Asia. It's now beat out China and Russia, which is a remarkable accomplishment given where Kazakhstan started at independence and where it is now. At only 34 years old, Kazakhstan has achieved great things, and President Tokayev should be very proud of the results that he's achieved as president of the country.
You were one of the initiators of the first dual degree program between North Kazakhstan University and the University of Arizona. How has this program impacted on students and the education system as a whole?
The purpose of the dual degree program between North Kazakhstan University, named for Manish Kozabayev, and the University of Arizona was to provide students in Kazakhstan with a cost-effective way to get an American degree in the degree programs that are offered. The example I can give you is a student in Arizona who goes to University of Arizona has to pay about $35,000 every year for tuition and other costs. The negotiated rate we have for students at North Kazakhstan University is $5,000. So students at North Kazakh University can attend University of Arizona classes for 1/7 the cost that a student from Arizona has to pay. We now have 36 Kazakhstani students from Petropavl in Tucson, Arizona this semester. That's part of their right in their program. So the cost basis that we created for this project allows students to get an Arizona degree, an internationally recognized high-quality degree from University of Arizona for much less than it costs even a student from Arizona. The second purpose of this project was to help North Kazakhstan University improve its curriculum so it could attract students to its university campus from around the region and the world. So now we have students coming to Kazakhstan to study at Kazakhstani universities. We did that with University of Arizona, we've done that with University of Minnesota, and other international universities that are now here in Kazakhstan. So it has allowed Kazakhstan to export education to the region and around the world. It's a very cost-effective way for Kazakhstan to engage in a business that is earning money from selling education services to other people in the world, while at the same time it's improved its own curriculum for its own students. So it's two parts of the same project. One project is for Kazakhstani students to get a degree. The other is to improve the education system in Kazakhstan to bring it up to the highest levels in the world so it can now sell those services to students around the region and around the world. The third result of that is more and more people know about Kazakhstan. People from around the world now are coming to Kazakhstan for education, and they will take back to their home countries a better understanding and knowledge of Kazakhstan and its important place in the world and in human history.
Today, branches of foreign universities are actively developing across Kazakhstan with over 30,000 international students. For example, we have universities from the USA, the UK, Russia, and China. How do you see this trend influencing the quality of education and Kazakhstan's image abroad?
Well, if you think about what's happening, you've got international universities coming to Kazakhstan and pairing with universities in Kazakhstan, and that exchange is helping the universities in Kazakhstan get more exposed to the world. So they're getting techniques, they're getting information, they're getting styles and teaching techniques, all that improve the teaching here without having to take those teachers and put them abroad. In addition, all the students who come to Kazakhstan, those 30,000 or more students now, will learn about Kazakhstan. They can't help but have a better understanding of what Kazakhstan is, what kind of a nation it is, what kind of people are here. And when they go back home, they will then help tell that story. All of that will help improve Kazakhstan's recognition in the world, which is important. Kazakhstan is a small country by population with only 22 million people or so. It's not a huge population, but it's the 9th largest country on the planet. It's got some of the greatest resources that a country could ever want or need. And so all of these advantages that Kazakhstan has are now being told to the world. And business people are learning more about Kazakhstan. And all of that, again, I have to attribute to President Tokayev's great work in really announcing to the world what Kazakhstan's presence is.
In your view, what role does educational cooperation play in strengthening diplomatic and trade relations between Kazakhstan and the United States?
Well, it's not just the United States, but it's around the world. As I mentioned earlier, when students become acquainted with one another, it's much more difficult for them to dislike one another. It's much easier to create friendships, and when people have a good understanding of who the other people are in the world, they are less likely to be enemies. And so Kazakhstan has brilliantly opened its borders to people from around the world to get educated here, and that's helping them create friends around the world. And in this very difficult time in human history, with as many wars and other troubles as there are, it's good to have many friends.
That was my last question. Would you like to add anything else?
Certainly. So in addition to the education projects that I've worked on for 32 years now, we have also been working on, for example, agriculture opportunities for Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan has the 6th most arable land of any country in the world. That is, area that could be farmed. And in its earlier history, Kazakhstan had achieved very high ranking in agriculture production. I believe with the application of modern technology and knowledge, Kazakhstan can enter the world as one of the top 5 agriculture superpowers. And I think that would be very helpful to the Republic of Kazakhstan to achieve that, because supplying food to the world is another way that you have influence on how the world operates and how your country can engage with the rest of the world. Mining is an obvious area, and my state that I come from, the state of Arizona, is a mining state in the U.S. It's got the largest mining companies. And one of them is still active in Kazakhstan. I hope to bring another one here again. They used to be in this country, and it would be important for my state to have closer relationships with Kazakhstan. But it already has the most significant relationships of any state in the United States. Of the 50 states in the United States, my state, Arizona, is a 33-year partner with the Republic of Kazakhstan. My military organization, the Arizona National Guard, is partnered with the military in Kazakhstan, and they trade information and work together. The Arizona National Guard representatives come to Kazakhstan and train here, and representatives from Kazakhstan's military go to Arizona. We've had that relationship for a very long time. Business between Arizona and Kazakhstan has been uniquely large. My state developed, a company in my state developed the Iridium satellite. It's that thing that runs our cell phones. The satellites in the outer space that run our cell phones and other technologies. That technology was built in my state, but launched out of Baikonur, Kazakhstan. And so at one time, my state was partnered with Kazakhstan, and Kazakhstan was the largest trading partner for my state because of these relationships. Aerospace, not mining, but aerospace. An additional project we've been working on has been tourism. There aren't enough Americans coming to Kazakhstan to understand what Kazakhstan really is about. And Kazakhstan has beautiful nature, all kinds of nature, mountains and deserts and lakes and all sorts of opportunities in the natural environment. Then Kazakhstan has great sporting as well. And so we're working on developing greater sports connections between the United States and Kazakhstan and Western Europe and Kazakhstan for sporting tourism. For example, in Turkestan this coming week, there is the Asia Cup for triathlon. So we're going to Turkestan to see the Asia Cup, and with us is a man named Mark Allen, who is a 6-time Ironman champion. He is coming to help us develop the relationship between Kazakhstan and Ironman. My hope is that we'll eventually have an Ironman take place in Kazakhstan. So there's sports tourism as well. And then finally, there's cultural tourism. So the Smithsonian Project to develop more knowledge about Kazakhstan's culture for the U.S. gives us the opportunity to build on that. For the last 6 years, we have been working to develop tour opportunities for Americans to come see Kazakhstan and understand its deep and ancient culture. And so we bring people from the United States to come to Astana, for example, and go to the National Museum, but also go to Algiers and understand how Kazakhs helped the women who were imprisoned in Algiers during Soviet times and the work that they did to save these women who were being punished by Joseph Stalin. Then you go to Turkestan and see the Yezawi Mausoleum, or outside of Almaty, there's the Tambali Tas petroglyphs. If you've never seen them, they're remarkable. Sharan Canyon, to Shimbalak. All these kinds of opportunities are present in Kazakhstan that allow Americans to see a culture that dates back thousands of years, to learn that the reason we have horses around the world that people ride are because they were domesticated in Kazakhstan. Just north of here of Astana, the newest archaeological discovery that it was 6,000 years ago that ancient Kazakhs domesticated the horse and taught them how to be not just ridden, but also be used to help farming and other work. That those horses eventually ended up in the Americas because those horses ended up going to Europe, and that Kazakhs' ancient relatives were members of the Roman legions to ride horses and be warriors on horseback 2,000 years ago. That kind of culture, that kind of knowledge and information is fascinating, and I hope to share it with more Americans so that they understand the beauty and the depth of Kazakhstan's ancient culture.
It sounds incredible. Thank you very much, Mr. Hallman.
It's a pleasure.